I'm Holly. I'm sitting in my kitchen, sipping champagne and smiling as I recall the chaos that unfolded just a few hours ago. The morning started like any other, with me enjoying my coffee at the kitchen island. But then, the door burst open, and my world was turned upside down. My mother-in-law, Vivian, charged in, her face contorted with anger. She was accompanied by a locksmith and 2 moving trucks parked in the driveway. Vivian's husband, Arthur, slunk in behind her, looking as spineless as ever. And there, at the door, stood my ex-husband, Ryan, smirking like the cat that got the cream. "Pack your things and get out, you good-for-nothing," Vivian shrieked. "My son is finally rid of you, and you're not spending another night in our house." I took a calm sip of my coffee and replied, "Good morning to you too, Vivian. But breaking and entering is still a crime, even for family." She let out a shrill laugh. "This is the Thompson family home. It's been in the family for generations. You're just a freeloader now that Ryan has come to his senses." The locksmith shifted uncomfortably. "Ma'am, I need to see some paperwork before I change the locks." "Tell him, Arthur," Vivian snapped. "Tell him how we bought this house for Ryan." Arthur mumbled something about family property, while Ryan stepped forward, trying to look authoritative. "Holly, make this easy on yourself. You have an hour to pack your personal stuff. Leave the furniture. It stays with the house." I set down my coffee cup and said, "Interesting. And which house are you referring to exactly?" "Don't play dumb," Vivian sneered. "This house. The one we've paid the property taxes on for years. The one we let you live in out of the goodness of our hearts." I nodded thoughtfully. "You mean the house at 32 Elm Street?" Obviously, Ryan rolled his eyes. "Just grab your things and go. Lily's moving in tomorrow." Lily. The 25-year-old fitness instructor he'd been having an affair with for the past year. I'd known about it for a while, thanks to the private investigator I'd hired. "Well, this is awkward," I said, reaching for my laptop bag. "Because I don't live at 32 Elm Street." Vivian's face wrinkled in confusion. "What are you talking about?" "This is 32 Elm." "No," I interrupted, pulling out a folder. "This is 34 Elm Street. A completely different house." I laid the deed on the counter, the one I'd purchased 6 years ago with the money I'd inherited from my great-aunt. "See? 34 Elm Street. Bought by Holly Thompson. That's me. Solo purchase, separate property, never mixed with marital assets." Vivian snatched the document, her expression shifting from confusion to disbelief to rage as she read. "This is impossible. We bought this house." "You bought 32 Elm Street," I corrected patiently. "The red brick house next door. The one Ryan and I lived in for a few months before I bought this place." "But we've been paying the taxes on this property," Arthur finally found his voice. "Have you?" I pulled up the tax records on my laptop. "According to the county assessor, you've been paying taxes on 32 Elm. I've been paying the taxes on this property from my separate account for 6 years. Ryan's smirk faded faster than a snowman in the sun. "That's not possible." Vivian shrieked, "You tricked us. You manipulated us." "Actually," I said, pulling out more documents, "I tried to tell you multiple times. Remember Thanksgiving dinner 2 years ago when I mentioned buying the house next door? You laughed and said, 'Who needs 2 houses?' And then changed the subject to Ryan's promotion. The one he lost a few months later because of his inappropriate behavior with a coworker." The locksmith was already backing towards the door. "I'm just going to." "Yeah. Good luck, folks." "Wait," Vivian commanded. "We're not done here." "Actually, we are," I said, pulling out an eviction notice. "This is an eviction notice for Ryan Thompson, who's been living in my property rent-free for the past 8 months since our separation. He has 30 days to leave." The eviction notice slipped from Vivian's numb fingers and fluttered to the floor. You can't evict him. He's your husband. Ex-husband, I corrected. As of 10:15 this morning, when the judge signed the divorce decree. And since this was never marital property, he has no claim to it. He's basically a month-to-month tenant who hasn't paid rent. But where will he live? Arthur asked weakly. Well, you do own the house next door, I suggested. But I should mention, I've been renting it out to tenants for the past 4 years, and they have a lease until June. You can't evict them without a good reason. Tenants? Vivian's shriek could have shattered glass. You've been renting out our house? Again, my house, I said. I bought it from you 6 years ago. You needed the money for Ryan's business idea. The one where he was going to start a trendy coffee shop but ended up losing everything because he spent the money on luxury vacations with his assistant. I pulled up the sale documents on my laptop. See? Sold by Arthur and Vivian Thompson to Holly Thompson for $350,000. Below market value, but you were desperate for cash. Ryan sank onto one of my bar stools. You bought both houses? I bought this one first, I explained. I paid cash with the money from my great-aunt's inheritance. The one whose memorial service you skipped to play golf. Then when your parents needed money, I bought their house too. I've been getting nice rental income from it ever since. It covers the mortgage on my mountain cabin. Mountain cabin? Ryan's voice cracked. Oh, did I not mention that? The place in the Rockies. I bought it 3 years ago as an investment. You thought I was visiting my friend all those weekends, but I was actually renovating it. It's beautiful now, with a view of the mountains from every room. Vivian's legs gave out, and she collapsed onto another bar stool. But Ryan said you were broke. That you couldn't even afford a lawyer. Ryan says a lot of things, I observed. Most of them aren't true. Like when he said he was working late all those nights. Or when he said the charges on the credit card were for business expenses. I pulled up my bank statements. I'm a forensic accountant, Vivian. Did you really think I couldn't manage my own finances? I've been planning this for 4 years, ever since I found out about his first affair. 4 years? Ryan's voice was a whisper. There was Sarah from the office, then Lisa from the club, and finally, Lily. I smiled. You're not as smart as you think you are. Your phone password is still your high school football number. Arthur found his voice again. But if you've known for 4 years, why didn't you leave? Because I needed to get everything in order, I explained. This is a community property state, but if you're careful, separate property stays separate. Every bonus I earned, every freelance project, every investment, I documented them all as separate property. While Ryan was spending our money on his girlfriends, I was building my wealth. You conniving woman, Vivian started. Careful, I warned. You're in my house without an invitation. I could have you arrested for trespassing. In fact, I pulled out my phone. Should I call the police? I'm sure they'd be interested in your break-in attempt. You wouldn't dare, Vivian hissed. Try me, I said, starting to dial. Oh, and by the way, I've had security cameras installed for 3 years. High-definition audio and video. Today's footage will be quite entertaining. Ryan lunged for my phone, but I stepped back. Touch me, and it's assault. On camera. Your choice. He froze, finally realizing the mess he was in. Here's what's going to happen, I said. Ryan, you have 30 days to take your things out of my house. Only take what's yours. I have a detailed inventory of every item, with receipts. Vivian and Arthur, you're not allowed on this property. If you step foot here again, I'll file a restraining order. You can't do this, Vivian whimpered. We're family. We were family, I corrected. And from the beginning, you made it clear that I was never good enough. Not pretty enough for your precious son. Not from the right social circle. Not the right religion. Remember telling everyone at our wedding that Ryan was settling? The truth hung in the air. Well, congratulations. Your son is free to find someone better. Maybe Lily's family will meet your standards. But you should know, her father is under investigation for embezzlement. But I'm sure that won't be a problem. Ryan's head snapped up. What? How do you know that? Forensic accountant, remember? You'd be surprised what you can find in public records if you know where to look. I smiled. Good luck with that prenup, by the way. You might want to read it this time. The moving truck drivers were honking, probably wondering why they were still waiting. Those trucks are expensive, I noted. You should send them away. Unless you want to move Ryan's things to your house. But the tenants might not be happy about that. Vivian stood up shakily. This isn't over. Actually, it is, I said, handing her a business card. That's my lawyer's information. Any further communication should go through her. And Vivian, next time you want to stage a big eviction, check whose name is on the deed first. They left in stunned silence. Ryan paused at the door and said, Holly, we could work this out. No, I cut him off. We can't. You made your choices, Ryan. Over and over. Now live with them. Just not in my house. After they left, I locked the door and went back to my coffee. It was still warm. My phone buzzed. A text from my sister, how did it go? I typed back, about as expected. Vivian screamed, Arthur mumbled, Ryan tried to manipulate. They never even noticed they were in the wrong house. 6 years, and they never bothered to check. They were too busy thinking they knew everything. Another text came through, this one from my lawyer, security footage uploaded to the cloud. Restraining order paperwork ready if needed. Congratulations on your freedom. Freedom. I walked through my house, seeing it with new eyes, without the shadow of Ryan. The art I'd chosen that he'd mocked. The furniture I'd bought that Vivian had scoffed at. The life I'd built while they underestimated me. The doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw a process server. I opened the door. Are you Holly Thompson? You're being sued by Vivian Thompson for fraud and unlawful eviction. I took the papers and actually laughed. Thanks. Tell Vivian's lawyer to check the property records. This will be fun. As I closed the door, I thought about my mountain cabin waiting for me. 30 days until Ryan was gone. 30 days until I could start a new chapter of my life. I picked up my phone and scrolled through my contacts, stopping at a name I hadn't called in years. Ethan, the contractor who'd helped renovate the mountain cabin. The one who'd asked me out several times, and I'd turned him down because I was married. Not anymore. Hello, Ethan. It's Holly Thompson. Yes, from the Rockies project. I was wondering if that dinner offer is still on. His warm laugh filled my kitchen. I've been waiting 4 years for this call. Well, I said, looking around my house, good things come to those who wait. And even better things come to those who plan. We made plans for the following week. After I hung up, I poured the rest of my coffee down the sink and opened a bottle of champagne. It was barely noon, but this was a celebration. The doorbell rang again. This time, it was Vivian's lawyer, looking flustered. Ms. Thompson, I've reviewed the property records. I advised my client to drop the lawsuit. I'm here to apologize for the confusion and discuss Mr. Thompson's move-out schedule. Come in, I said graciously. Would you like some champagne? I'm celebrating my new beginning. He declined the champagne but accepted a cup of coffee. As we talked about Ryan's eviction, I couldn't help but smile. 6 years of planning, patience, and letting them think they were in control. The best revenge was quiet, methodical, and legal. It was buying the ground beneath their feet while they looked down on me. And it was best served with champagne in my own house, on my own terms. Vivian was right about one thing. Someone was getting evicted today. Just not who she expected.